Welcome back to the ChurchBiz podcast. I'm your host, Josh Reeves, and I'm here with ChurchBiz leaders Chris Mallonee and Kevin Aderholt. And today we're looking back at 2024, and we also want to look forward and share some exciting updates within ChurchBiz for 2025. It's been a really fruitful year. We've seen lots of growth, lots of ministry opportunities. And so I'm excited to reflect with both of you today. And we've also, over the last year, done a ton of work as a company to kind of respond to the growth that God has been doing in ChurchBiz and kind of organize a bit and just kind of nail down who we are and what we want to do as a company. So we're going to talk about that today. One of the things we discovered as a leadership team over this past year, one of the values we came to is we don't just want to be a commodity. That ChurchBiz wants to certainly provide financial services to churches, but we want to do it as followers of Jesus with the servant heart that reflects Jesus in our work. And we really want to be a ministry partner to churches. And so today, I think what we really want to do is we're going to reflect a bit on that, how that's played out this year. And then as we look forward, we really want to share our heart as a company of how we want to provide the services we do, not just as a commodity, although there is that aspect, but as people who are following Jesus and really who want to see churches healthy and stewarding well. So we're gonna share some of that today. So we're gonna begin just kind of to reflect back on 2024, and I wanted to ask each of you, or give each of you a chance to answer in here. Are there maybe 2 to 3 evidences of God's grace at work with your ChurchBiz clients? Think ways you've seen God kind of at work this year that you'd like to share. Anything that sticks out to y'all?
Yeah, I think there's a ton of examples, but seeing churches that are fundraising for buildings or they have different initiatives that they're trying to do, and working with them to get them the reporting that they need and help them understand their finances. I've got a couple clients that are trying to get loans to help purchase a building or buy land to get ready to construct. And so you have outside parties for the first time come in and they're questioning their ministry and try to understand, what's happening financially with their ministry, and to be able to kind of step in with their leadership team or elder team to, remind them their controls that we have in place and processes, and help them better understand their financials. And then also helping, sometimes you field some questions from the bankers and things like that. So the fact that they haven't had to go to hire professional help, like a CPA firm or a law firm, to get that level of knowledge that's just already there based on the service we're performing, I think has been really helpful. And then also see those are churches that have matured and are expanding and growing in later stages. I've also seen church plants, though. Recently, I'm one client that I service. They plant a lot of churches, and so most recently they planted a church in Austin. And from the start, that person was already connected with me. I was able to come alongside where he was in his residency, go through all the compliance stuff and all the legal stuff, and just tell them exactly step by step, here's the things you need to take care of. Of course, ChurchBiz can provide some of that work in terms of helping them get formed, get EINs. Do I need to do a 501c3 application or not? What are the benefits? Just giving them that information. And then, of course, just working with them to get their funding, their books set up, their payroll set up so that they can, to them, it's seamless, right? And so, that's why we exist. We're able to help. Of course, like you'd mentioned, the commodities, we provide those services, which are really, really helpful, especially if you're with an organization you trust, right? And so we've been at it for a long time. We've got good relationships with networks. So we earn people's trust, and it's nice for them to be able to come in, plan a church, get good advice, and it not be as you may know, some of the headaches you can run into just by not knowing who to trust. And so those are, 2 examples of, where ChurchBiz is making a difference.
Yeah. That's really good. And I remember whenever I was a church planter and we were looking for a building, the first couple years I kind of did our books before you guys trained me to be a bookkeeping expert. And they were okay, but it was kind of that barely legal status. If a bank were to look in, it wouldn't be great. But I was so glad that when we went to look for a building, we at ChurchBiz, Kevin, you had been doing our bookkeeping for several years, and we had multiple years of really good financials to give to a bank. Because when the bank starts looking in, that's when you start to get a little nervous, and you're like, okay, crap, I hope I've got this together. And so that is a great way that you can just see tangibly, like, hey, we've helped this church, and we've given them such solid financials that they can go to a bank and get a loan. Their ministry can flourish through this new building. So I love that.
That was sorry to cut you off, but even when we got that bank loan with Independent, the banker we were working with, he sat down, he's like, hey, these are good financials. Like, he was almost surprised.
Yeah.
Right. So
I'd share a couple of stories quickly, just the rewarding work of clients we do, evidence of God's grace. Through that, similarly, just a couple churches working with to help them get into their first buildings. One's a church here close by in the Central Texas area. Love working with their pastor. It's just a cool story to see them being able to get into their own building. Didn't think that they could, and having good financials to support that. That's been really rewarding for me. And then there's a church in Minnesota we work with, and they've been working for a long time, saving money to get into a building this coming Easter. They're going to have their first service in their brand new building. And that pastor actually sent me a handwritten Christmas card. And I thought, wow, how cool that is to take the time to figure out my home address and handwrite a Christmas card to send to me and my family. That was really cool. And then there's a Christian ministry we work with, not a church, but they do family faith-based radio and radio all over the United States, and they were just able to build some new offices and invited me to come out this spring. It's like wanted me to see their offices, and they're really proud. They feel like a lot of the things that they've been trying to advocate for and support, they're seeing some success in that recently, and just very feel fulfilled in the work that they're doing. Wanted to share that with me. So those are some exciting recent things happening on the client side. We're going to talk today. I think I've seen the show notes about some of the leadership successes we're trying to implement. I'll tell on myself on a client. Not as successful, but it's turned into a good thing. We had one client was working with this year. Not my finest moment. I was putting in their 2024 budget, and I saw in their line item that they were looking to replace ChurchBiz, and it just caught me the wrong day at the wrong time. And I picked up the phone and called the guy, and I was like, "Hey, what's up with this?" And had a not amazing conversation, but actually through that, he was a new CEO coming in that company, and actually built a great relationship with the guy, and one of my favorite people to work with now. So God actually used that, and not my finest leadership moment, to build a great relationship, and they're still with us. So even uses sometimes our failures and mistakes, works through that, and that's actually kind of a funny story now, but another client that I really enjoy working with.
Yeah. Well, I think what we want you to hear as you're listening to this is really like we want to provide financial services, but we also care about your success in ministry. Like, we're doing this not just as a business, but to see the kingdom of God flourish, to see churches flourish. And we really believe that financial stewardship is an important part of setting churches up for success. And so hopefully you hear that, and even through the fumbles and mistakes, which, by the way, tip to any client, just tell us if you're going to leave. Don't put it in the, we'll see those budgets.
Don't send in the budget we're putting in for you.
Yeah, that's okay. Hey, we'll put it in still. So, but yeah, that's really good. Chris, I would love, I think you've got some stats prepared just as we reflect on this last year. Just even sharing some like the evidences of grace in ChurchBiz, in the ways we've been able to kind of serve churches this year. Do you have some numbers for us?
Yeah, I'd love to share some of those stats. If I could take just a couple minutes, even zoom out and just kind of big picture, where we've been at, what we've kind of tried to do, even as we think back and think about our history, where we've been at as a company. At the end of 2023, I just had this strong sense that we were entering a new season as a company. We'd been running really hard, doing a lot of fulfilling good work, serving churches and ministries. Even in like the 4 years since I'd come on, between 2020 and 2023, the company, our top line revenue, we'd seen growth 78%. Our core services during that time, we'd grown from working with 80 organizations, payroll and bookkeeping, to 132. I was actually looking very specific numbers last night, preparing for this podcast. And during that time, in that growth from 50 some odd clients, included, sadly, a lot of organizations having to close their doors during the pandemic and replacing those. And And even in the 2 years prior to myself coming on, there was just a lot of growth and a lot of change in ChurchBiz when Kevin bought ChurchBiz from our founder, Rick. And so we had kind of coming into 2024, it had been a good but long and hard run for 6 years for Kevin, 4 years for myself. So there was a lot to celebrate, but also just like, okay, what now? We feel like we had kind of capped. We had grown faster than we expected to grow. Kind of felt like we had capped where we could go under the current kind of leadership model and plan that we had. And I guess I'd also say on that note, we always just want to be thankful for where we've come as a company, grateful to our founder, Rick, for the foundation that he planted in those first 10 years. And I just always want to be an advocate for that and sharing our story where we've come from. And even to that, what Kevin stepped into when he bought the company from Rick, and the foundation that he laid over the last 6-7 years has been really, really cool to see from my seat since I've come on the last 4 or 5 years. So I always want to be a voice for us to remember what God has done, as we want to be faithful as we step out into the future. So as it related to 2024, for this year as a company, as we talked, we wanted to pull back a bit after several years of rapid growth. And we felt that was the right thing to do to reach more churches. And we had the capacity to grow. But this year said, okay, let's step back a little bit. And for the first time ever in our history, we actually turned off the acquisition, so to speak, and just told churches, hey, we're not taking on any new churches for a few months, which was hard to do. Honestly, that was just not something we'd done before, and I didn't like doing that. But the intent was for us to come together and say, hey, we've reached kind of the peak, so to speak, of where we thought we could go under this business model. So what do we do now? We could keep ChurchBiz the size it is and have a great company. Or do we do the hard work of figuring out how to really grow and scale this thing? And so we hit the pause button, in a sense, of our core business. Even during that pause, great things were happening. We launched HR services. We rolled out our first financial training course. And so those things were going on, and Josh, you did a great job leading that for us. And then even in a year where we paused bringing on a lot of new churches, just as we were adding services to our current client base, as we took on like project billings, they're just through natural kind of organic growth, we still grew 15% this year. And in the last few months, we've started opening up, taking on new churches again, which has been good. So even in the midst of this year of trying to kind of pause and restructure, we still saw another growth year. So that's kind of where we've been at for this year in terms of what we wanted to do as a company, and kind of stop and think about, are we going to stay where we're at? Are we going to want to grow into the future? And we'll talk about that growth more, but it was really just kind of a year to think about what is the future and direction for ChurchBiz. And so with that, now to get back to your question on those specific stats, right now we're at serving 150 churches within our core services. Outside of that, we've got another 100 individuals and organizations that we've served this year through our consulting work, minister and entity tax services, and I think I don't know the exact numbers that signed up for a financial training class. You would have to probably tell me that. We had a decent number that signed up.
I think it was around 95.
Man, yeah, I thought it was between 80 and 100. So 95 without a lot of intentional marketing on that. It was pretty, we marketed to our clients, but not a huge marketing effort, just rolling out that first class. So nearly 100 that signed up for our first financial training course. And then also just internally, we added Audrey joined our team really the second half of last year. She was ramping up, but this was her first full year of client service work, doing a great job for us. That was an add position. I've mentioned we added HR services. Melissa started right at the end of 2023. This was her first full year. Lindsay came on, replaced someone from our team. She's doing a great job. Yana came on, joined our team this year. She replaced Michelle, who we got to celebrate her retirement this summer. So that was exciting. We added Mila, we added Wendy. Those were add positions. And then we have Courtney starting next month in January of 2025. So we've had some growth. We're hiring, preparing for growth in the future that we'll talk about. So a lot of exciting things on the staffing front. And then internal, we've done a lot of work internally on restructuring. There's a lot I could say about that. And I know we'll probably get into that more, but God really met us, I feel like, this year as we were meeting as a team, thinking about how best to move forward as an organization.
Yeah. And we can go ahead and move into kind of looking forward to 2025, because a lot of that work we did was us trying to look forward and really ask the question, not so much coming up with something new, but saying, what has God instilled in, what are the key values that we have as a company that we want to make sure we hold tightly to? What is the key focus God has called us to? And let's identify those things. Let's put them on paper, and let's make sure that as we grow, we continue to hold these values. And so our leadership team, which is us three and Brandy, Aderholt, Kevin's better half, have worked on this and wanted to share with our team and with our clients who are listening in just a little bit of our heart as we move forward in this growth. And so I would love for you guys, as we've done that work, we'll talk about the specifics of kind of our key focus and values in just a moment. I know you've got some things prepared on that, but I'd just be curious, as we've been doing that work, what are some of the things that have that God has brought to mind that maybe you didn't even realize about ChurchBiz, but that as we've kind of tried to focus in, have really come to the surface? Anything that comes to mind there? Anyone?
I think I had the realization, like what Chris was saying earlier, about once we got to a certain point and we stopped taking on new business, we had to really think about, like, well, it would be nice to just maybe, get comfortable here, get staffed up, and just kind of stay at this size. And I think what we had learned, God was telling us that, he has a vision to actually grow and scale, which is actually that it's a pretty painful path to do that. It's a lot of hard work, and it's something that we're trying to, we're going to be investing a lot over the next several years for hopefully something that is able to grow and expand its influence. So just the importance of that, I think, is, or just that revelation that that's something that God is doing with ChurchBiz, because I didn't really know. So that was a bit surprising.
Yeah. I think what was really impactful for me was we started meeting, having these discussions, I believe it was May, and we were going through a business book together. Three of us were part of those initial meetings, and it was before our first meeting. I was reading in that book, and it was actually the chapter on vision. And I don't know how else to say it other than I just felt like God just met with me that night. I was sitting at my kitchen table and started to really feel and understand and clearly see just an expanded vision for what ChurchBiz could look like for the next 5 to 10 years. It was just this really cool moment. The best way I know how to describe it is it's kind of like God just downloaded into my heart and my mind what this thing could look like. And when we met the next day, I didn't want to bombard or overwhelm you guys. It was like, is God in this? And I just asked the question, what are you guys feeling? What do you guys want ChurchBiz to look like? And what you guys started sharing was exact things that God was putting on my heart. And I thought, wow, this is okay. There's something here. Let's dig into this. And over the course of the next couple months, are we going to scale this thing or not? And came to the decision, yes, we feel like God is leading us into our hopes. This is what we want to move towards over the next 10 years as a company. We believe this is the vision that he's calling us to. And so through that started having regular, second and fourth of weeks of the month meetings, quarterly offsite meetings, kind of laying out, hey, what does this 10-year plan look like? And what do we do in, these first year 1 and year 3, and just some really, really meaningful discussions around those things. I feel, but just that initial, like, oh man, okay, God put this on my heart and he's putting on these guys' hearts, was like, okay, I think this is good and this is right. And it won't be easy, but we feel like this is the path we need to go down.
Yeah. And one thing that's been important for me as we've had these conversations is I've never sensed from you guys or myself that we want to grow just for the heck of it. That really, when you even think back to, as we're reflecting on this year, those stories of being able to help churches, of seeing the work that you're doing being incredibly valuable to the kingdom. I think ultimately when we boiled it down, like that's what motivates us to scale this, is we want to see more churches helped. And we realize there's a ton of churches out there that need quality accounting. They need not just a commodity or some random firm, not that those aren't needed somewhere, but someone who gets their world, who can help answer questions that are in a relational way, someone also who is for them and wanting to see them succeed. And when I think about that, that gets me excited about growing because I know, as a former pastor and church planner, I know there's how it helped me, how it's helped others, and that there's future church planters, future churches that are out there right now that we can really help. Yeah. We're not the only ones who can do it, but we have a relational network and people who God has given us that influence with, that we want to steward that. So that gets me really excited to think about that. And also the fact that in this work, we certainly put numbers and are trying to, do our due diligence and all that, but we're also trying to take stock of who has God made us to be as a company, and what do we want to make sure we continue on moving forward. So that's a little bit of mine. And it's been fun Kevin, you're right. It's not the easy path, because having all these conversations and thinking about it, there's headaches and weighing the costs, all those things. But I do think it's a worthy endeavor, and it's going to bear fruit. And so I'm excited about what God is doing. Chris, I'd love for you to share. If you have anything else to say on that, certainly chime in. But I'd love to hear just a little bit of even what we came out with as far as like our focus and kind of core values that we want to hold on to as we continue to move forward. Are you ready to share that?
Yeah, for sure. So I shared about the initial meetings in May and June, where we just started dreaming how to scale ChurchBiz, and we firmed up that decision that yes, we're going to go and pursue that. And we had our first offsite leadership meeting in August, where we were looking at the 10-year vision, breaking that down into 1 and 3-year plans to achieve that. And at that meeting, we started with 2 passages of scripture that guided our time that I thought was really helpful. And the first was Philippians 2, the passage about following Christ's example of humility, looking to the interest of others. And that's something that we talked about, that I hope we continue to hold in our DNA as imperfect sinners as we are, but imperfect sinners trying to follow Jesus. We want humility to permeate our leadership culture and values as a company to the best of our ability. And we want to model servant leadership as long as ChurchBiz is around. That's something that's important to us as a team. So we talked about that as we think we're stepping into a new season of ChurchBiz. Let's let humility and servant leadership mark everything that we do. So that was key thing we talked about early in that meeting. And then the second verse we looked at was Ephesians 3:20. Now to him who is able to do far more abundantly than all that we ask or think, according to the power at work within us. And just started asking the question, what if we had the faith and courage and boldness to ask God for bigger things than we ever had for ChurchBiz as we plan for the future? Let's just have the faith to ask God to do something, not for our sake, not to bring us recognition and notoriety or fame, but what if actually over the next 10 years, God could use us to work with 300, 400, 500 churches to actually help those churches reach their mission, their goal, their vision in ways that we have the skill set and capacity and knowledge and passion to do that. And so that laid a great foundation for those meetings as we started planning and talking and kind of starting to hone in on what's the core focus of our work. And I thought Kevin, in our first night discussion, had some really great insight and great language on what we want to be about, and really helped put some good handles on 2 things that we want our work to be about: helping churches with sound governance and helping churches make sound financial decisions. And the way that you just put that so simply, but just so clear, helping churches with sound governance, helping churches make sound financial decisions. That's what's going to shape what we're calling our core business and our content business. And Kevin's going to lead our core business. Josh is leading our content business. I want to help support both of these guys. And we feel like those two things really capture what we want to do moving forward with ChurchBiz. And so it's out of that came this new focus and vision statement for ChurchBiz, leading churches to God-honoring stewardship.
Yeah, it's really good. Any thoughts or other comments?
He said it perfectly.
Yeah, he said it good. Yeah, leading churches to God-honoring stewardship. That's really it kind of just came together that night of, hey, certainly we want to provide good financials. We want to be able to give a good balance sheet to the bank when they ask for it. Certainly all those little details are important. We want to do it with excellence, but ultimately what's driving us is that this church and the way they're governed and the way they're using their finances would honor God, because we believe that the church is really God's plan to show himself to the world. And so that is a huge pillar. If churches had 4 or 5 pillars of things that make them healthy, that's at least one of them. And so we feel like what we can do is use our gifts, our collective wisdom, all that we have to try to help churches with that. So yeah, that's really good. And then we kind of went into also just kind of try to outline some core values that we have as a company. Do you want to walk through those?
Yeah.
Are you good for that?
Yes, we came up with 5. We started whiteboarding. Okay, what are the core values that support this new focus statement of leading churches to God-honoring stewardship? And we came with these 5. Character, and the statement that supports that is humble, honest, and reliable people. We want to be this and work with others who share these values. Excellence, competent, driven, and connected to the big picture. Simplicity, working smarter, utilizing technology, and focusing on what matters. Focused, our passion is the local church and resourcing it for faithful stewardship. Solutions, we provide solutions through innovative financial services and consulting financial stewardship. So those are the 5 things that we want our clients to experience, our employees and leaders to embody, and just be true about who we are and what we do.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, I love those core values. And again, those aren't something we kind of came up with that said, hey, let's become this. It's more of us looking at, hey, what has God made us? And let's identify those things. Let's be really clear about them. And let's make sure as we move forward that our company culture, both internally and then the way we externally interact with clients, is embodying these core values. And if you go through a leadership book, any good leadership book's going to tell you have some core values. Right. So we got them. We got our 5 now.
Yeah.
So, that's really good. So
maybe some new T-shirts in the future.
Yeah, some new T-shirts. On the front we could have logo. Maybe put all 5 on the back.
There
I
we
don't
go.
know. Our backs of T-shirts, is that? I don't know that's in. Is that in?
I'm probably the wrong person to ask about that.
Kev, you have pretty good style. So
No, I don't. No, I don't.
Oh, that's good. Well, any other thoughts on kind of as we look forward, Chris, as far as focus statement, core values, anything to add there?
I've shared a lot. You got anything?
No, man.
Good. Just our resident style experts.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we've also had some work as we've been organizing and working on this. We've core values, focus statement, and we've also tried to organize our team a bit. And so maybe you speak a little bit to how we've tried to organize on a leadership level.
Yeah, and first thing I would just say is I touched on this before, but I really am proud of the leadership group and ways we got to where we are today. There was thought and intentionality around the roles Kevin and I had as business partners. There was an initial vision Rick had. Kevin shaped a new vision when he stepped in, and it was successful. And I'm proud of how we got to where we are today. And it was the right things at the right time. And now what we are trying to do is step into a bit more of a defined leadership structure and roles. That's just natural as you grow and mature as a company. We're intentionally trying to grow and scale, and we got here faster than we thought we would, which is great. God is blessing this work. So with that growth, things that are important to us and things we've talked about is we want to keep a culture of good work-life balance, a flexible work schedule. It's not just something we say. We embody this as a company. We want to continue to fight for that even as we grow. We want everyone that works at ChurchBiz to feel a high level of support from us as leaders, but also a high level of autonomy and independence in the work that they do and feel valued in their work. And as I said before, we want to continue to model servant leadership, that we would never ask someone on our team to do something that we aren't willing to do ourselves. So we want to keep those things core to our culture as we move forward. And even amongst our team, I've seen time and time again that we all jump in and help each other out whenever there's a need, even if it's not on our job description. And so I think that's a lot of the things that have helped make us successful. And what I've seen in my years of, I guess, 20 years in out working in business now, there's a lot more business partnerships that fail than succeed. And so far, this has been a successful business partnership. And one of the things I think that has helped Kevin and I and has helped our leadership team as a whole is even in the times where we've had conflict, we've learned to do that overall in a healthy way. And I think that's important for all teams. And one of the phrases I've learned this year is calling each other up, not out, in those times of conflict. And that's another thing I think that we have modeled, not always perfectly, but well, and want to continue to do that within our leadership team and culture. So with those things said, specifically related to our team, as you mentioned, our leadership team that meets regularly is Kevin, myself, Josh, and Brandy, and we meet the second and fourth Wednesday of each month, and then we have our quarterly offsite meetings where we're looking more vision, big picture stuff. Also want to mention that I have committed once a quarter to getting away, just getting outside the day-to-day, spending time praying for our team, praying for our company, just thinking, trying to get out of the day-to-day and thinking big picture stuff as well. What I've learned is I need that. I've just learned how I work. I need time away, like solo time away. But once a quarter feels right to stay healthy as a leader. I want to do this the right way for the long term. One exciting update, Josh is coming on as a partner in January. Extremely excited about that. You're going to add a ton to our group as a partner. I'm really pumped to have you coming on as a partner of ChurchBiz. And as we've thought about how we want to scale, as we've thought about Josh coming on as a partner, we thought it was important to bring clarity to roles and job duties and titles. We haven't been an overly formal culture, and as we were thinking about those roles and titles, you know, we're not like a C-suite title kind of company, but those are the titles that are the most easily understood. So that's ultimately what we went with, and that's what people understand the best. So with that, I'm going to be CEO in sales in my partner role, which means I'm responsible for new client acquisition, business development, supporting our core business, our content business, tax, and HR. I'll be escalation point for client issues and then helping with all new hires as well. Josh is CMO, Chief Marketing Officer, going to oversee our content business, as I've mentioned, which means he's the content director. He's going to lead our training courses, all courses we roll out, managing social media and websites. So simply put, you can think that Josh and I are going to be the front office of the business, driving top line revenue, driving business development efforts, and our church partnerships. Kevin, he's going to be our CFO and staff manager, overseeing our staff team, providing support and training, making sure everyone on our team is trained on all our tools and service offerings, managing finance and compliance functions, our back office like insurance and risk compliance, just our general point person for our team. Brandy is our COO, Chief Operating Officer. She'll oversee all things administrative, data, processes. Brandy is the one who keeps the trains running and on time. She does an incredible job for us. Functions as our office manager, handles procurement, manages CRM, amongst many other things with data processes and reporting. So you can think of Josh and Chris as front office, Kevin and Brandy are back office for ChurchBiz.
Yeah. That's good. That's good stuff. Yeah. Those are fancy titles. And so we'll try to live into those. So.
Yeah. Well, one thing I would say too, last, I know we've talked a lot, but in our org chart, you know, with the way we're structured as a for-profit company, but I love that it's flat across those four. I think that represents who we are as equal partners, and that we're all responsible and accountable to each other in our roles and titles. I love how that's represented on our org chart, that we are equals, and even like kind of in church language, first among equals in these areas that we have responsibility for. And I think we brought really great accountability. If anyone's familiar with the RACI matrix, who's responsible, accountable, what's the C for? I always forget. What the C's for in the RACI matrix.
Consult.
That might not be oh man, gosh.
The I's informed, I think. Right?
Is informed, and
we know it.
It's in there. Oh
got
gosh,
it.
but yeah. So, but we have we have good clarity around roles and responsibilities within that. But I love that flat org chart that we have at the partner and leadership team level as we step into 2025.
And I think. And a lot of this, again, is responding to the growth that we've seen God do. And we want to do it so we can better serve our clients and better serve more clients. So balls aren't dropped and things aren't falling in the cracks. And so I'm really excited about that and honored to come and work with you guys as a partner and playing my role. So you guys have been on the being an employee end of things. You guys have been such good bosses to me. You don't really boss me, or there is that level of autonomy, but I'm really thankful just for the opportunity to work with you and excited about what God is doing in ChurchBiz. So yeah, I don't have a speech or anything prepared, but
come on,
I am excited. I'm excited. So yeah. You don't want me to do an off-the-cuff speech. It might, I don't know. You might. The deal hasn't been signed yet, so we got.
That's true.
Yeah.
It was a little premature throwing that out there, but it feels like the right time.
We're there. So
I won't go too far off the rails, but I'm the nostalgic one in the group. I feel like probably the most nostalgic of us. This is our last, or at least my last podcast to record in this room. That's a 2025 thing. We're gonna have a new studio, I believe. So, I mean, a lot of change happening.
All our fans who love this backdrop, of my home office, you're going to be disappointed. No, we're going to do it. We'll find a space and we're going to continue, and it'll probably be better. That's what we'll do is improve it. So
another exciting update.
But yeah, another exciting update. New studio coming soon. We'll see what God provides. So, I want to just kind of close this time with just asking you. And you don't have to have something, but is there anything coming in 2025 as far as things we've planned or even things on the horizon that you're excited about in the company other than what we've already mentioned?
So I'm excited about more routine check-ins with like the bookkeepers, staff people. I think that just being focused on that and putting the effort out there to be just make myself more available. It will be great, and I've got ideas on how that's going to work. But also trying to take knowledge that I have. I've got pretty broad experience from working in corporate America within like a finance and treasury role to doing, working for two CPA firms, being an auditor, doing tax, and then also, of course, serving on the finance team at a church, and then what we do as a business. So take time to try to synthesize whatever's in my head and try to equip other people that are on our team with kind of share the framework on how I think through things and kind of help give that experience that I have to other people, just because I think it will help them do their job more efficiently, which will benefit, work-life balance, right? Like you're just able to handle things and not get in the weeds as much because you know what's important and what's not. But also the churches benefit from that because similarly, they probably waste a lot of time working through issues that really are not that important, and they don't know what they don't know. And so maybe trying to take that knowledge and spread it out amongst everyone on our team. And so that's what it's a challenge because I don't know exactly how that's going to go. But for 2025, and personally, I would feel good too. As a business owner, you kind of, sometimes when you're not in control of everything and there's other people working as agents of the company you own, bad things can happen. And, that could cause some anxiety, and I'm someone who's, has issues with anxiety. I think it'll kind of help me selfishly too, just to be more involved and understand, to make sure that we're upholding a standard to our clients in the core business that we provide.
Yeah, it's good.
I'm excited. 2025. You coming on as partner, the roles we've talked about. Just kind of seeing how this first year goes under this new business model. We've talked about rolling out some documentation of the business book we've been going through talks about documenting your way that you do business in your distinctive. So we're going to roll out some ChurchBiz way documentation, just taking a lot of what we already have internally, but just aggregating it and just putting some intentional thought behind, hey, what are our distinctives? Get all out in one place, internal documentation, get it on our website. Also, with that, just kind of aggregating our internal documentation, having a CSR, what we call our bookkeepers, our client service reps, a playbook that just a little bit more formalization on the onboarding process with that, and just some of those things that we've talked about. And then also part of our goals for 2025 is a church health assessment that will help guide churches that want to work with us. Just some questions to ask them up front to help determine, are they ready to jump into our core services? Would they be a better fit going through some of our content courses so they could be in a place where they would be a good fit to work with us as a payroll and bookkeeping client? So those are just a few things we've talked about for the upcoming year. Excited about.
Yeah, those are, and I'm excited on the resourcing end. I'm excited about continuing to see what are the needs our churches have, and let's try to develop, whether that's templates or blog posts or doing even a course that could help strengthen them. And that all comes back to the fact that we want to provide excellent financial services, but we also want to help resource churches for God-honoring stewardship. Mm-hmm. And so, that health assessment that we're going to try to develop this year is going to be a good tool where we can help even put on the radar for churches what are some of the healthy metrics of God-honoring stewardship. Because it's not just, hey, we'll code your transactions, reconcile your accounts, send you reports, but we want to help you think through the holistic picture and be a resource to come alongside you and say, hey, here's some things to help you do that. So I'm really pumped, and we're going to continue to develop resources and try to listen to clients as much as we can and develop really what is needed as well. What are going to be some things that really help you in your ministry? So if you're listening to this and you have suggestions, we'd love to hear it. It would help us so much. Even as we're thinking we're going to launch another class this year on top of FT 101, and we're still kind of deciding what is the best class that's going to be a huge help to churches. We really want that.
Yeah. Well, I love that. Last thing I would say on this is what God was putting on our hearts back late spring and this summer is this idea of just expanding the tents, so to speak, of how ChurchBiz can help churches. What you're doing on the content side with the podcast and the classes, that's God has gifted you in unique ways to do that. The way Kevin can help support our team and the way that he serves churches is just different, unique in ways that I can. What Melissa can do on the HR side, it just each person's unique gifts now to say across a variety of things, minister tax, HR, content. If you're a church plant, we can help train up a finance team through FT 101, the core services, and we want to continue to expand those offerings to the consulting work we can do, to the entity setup to help you get your 501c3 established. So that's what excites me this coming year, and even as we look beyond.
Yeah, that's good. Well, in every podcast, we have what I call fun time, just where we can talk about some things that are fun. Not that this other stuff isn't fun. That's really fun, right? But and so I've got two fun topics for us today. This is more of an extended, podcast, so we're already going over time, but time's not a factor today. It's the end of the year. So here's my two things. My first thing is we're gonna do a little Christmas theme. Okay, so you get one meat and one side on Christmas Day. Okay, for your meal. What is it? What do you choose? And then why? Convince us that we should do that. So do you need a minute, or you ready to throw yours out there?
Oh yeah.
You go. Okay, kick us off then.
So Brandy, just from her aunt Linda, who lives in San Antonio, just got this recipe for enchiladas, like authentic, and like how to make the roux, I guess is like what it's called. And they're cheese enchiladas, but they're absolutely amazing. So I think Brandy's family too, that's kind of like, not that we do that every year, but enchiladas are a big part of like family functions, whether it's, maybe not on Thanksgiving Day, but like the day before or like Christmas. So I know you said meat, and I don't think there's any meat.
It's a protein. It's a protein.
There's cheese. Yeah. And then, the side is basically guacamole. I mean, they make guacamole too, but it all goes on top. It's just all there. So as we sit today, that's my number one go-to of even right now over sushi, over all the stuff I like, regardless of holiday season. So that's all I got.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I want to make a comment. I think going Mexican theme for Christmas is an excellent move. Yeah. And you made me hungry by describing those enchiladas and that guac on there. So I think that's an A+ grade for me as a amateur food critic. So, all right.
I feel like this can be a little disappointing after that. I'm a traditionalist. I like that Christmas ham. Just give me a honey baked ham with some brown sugar on it, and I'm good to go.
I got it. I got you.
And give me just a good stuffing. I wish there was a better word to describe it, but a good moist stuffing. I don't like that dry stuffing.
So you're going with the tradition and kind of the Thanksgiving redo, but with ham instead of turkey.
Yeah, I do turkey, Thanksgiving, ham, Christmas.
Okay. That's good. And I can see there's some value in the tradition, all that. Although I think, Chris, if you're, I have some friends that they do very alternative Thanksgiving. I disapprove of that. But for Christmas, I feel like there's a lot more freedom. Mexican themed Christmas,
like that.
Traditional with the change up. I did so my meat is going to be brisket, the official meat of Texas.
There you go.
Home smoked Texas brisket.
On the Traeger?
On the Traeger, just falling apart. Nice brisket with pea salad. Because pea salad is my personal favorite side. I don't like peas on their own. In any other context, peas are kind of nasty. But pea salad, the way my mom and wife can make it, brisket, pea salad, that's what I'm going with. So
that sounds good.
Those are good.
And then we got to have a bonus question this time because there is a big game coming up. Texas and Clemson. Chris, you're a big Texas fan. You're a big Georgia fan, Alabama times.
Whoever's
winning, right? So I want to hear your predictions. Clemson at Texas for the first college football playoff game here in Austin. What's your prediction? We'll start with you, Kevin.
I try to support Texas. I watched them play Georgia. Still a little bitter about that game. So right now I'm just based on emotion. I'm picking an upset in Austin. Okay. Also, I like to hedge, right? So I do want Texas to win that game. I get it wrong a lot, so I want to go on the record and say Clemson's going to pull the upset, and what most likely will happen is Texas will win. So
so we're a little reverse psychology.
Mind games going on.
So you went Texas? You went Texas?
No, I'm on the record saying Clemson will upset Texas.
Okay.
We're going to go what was the score of the Georgia game? It was an overtime deal. Well, I'm going to go
1912, I think, was it, or is it something like that?
I'm going to go 24-20.
Or something?
24-20 Clemson.
Okay.
I've got tickets for this game, which I'm excited about. It's here in Austin. Quick story. Those who don't follow college football, there's a big quarterback controversy between Arch Manning, who's nephew of Peyton Eli Manning, big quarterback family. I'm an ardent Quinn Ewers supporter, who's the current starting quarterback, and I take grief from everyone, including this guy, about Quinn Ewers. But Texas is going to win this game. Texas has the number one defense in the country, and they're going to beat Clemson, and I think they'll get Boise, who has the bye. I think that would be the team they play next. Then they'll go and they'll beat Georgia in the semis, and they'll go beat Oregon in the national championship game. And my defense of Quinn all year will be justified, and I'll tell you guys, I told you so.
All right, so you're going all the way with predictions.
All the way,
month.
Win with Quinn. That's my motto. Win with Quinn.
Hey, all right. And I want to go on the record and say there's no way the Horns are winning the national championship.
Okay. I will.
We'll come back. Can you post this on social media? Whatever. Either way,
we'll try to come back
that we predicted
and get
this.
Some accountability on this. So I'm going to go with. As much as it pains me, I'm going to go with Texas. I think they win 31-17. I think Clemson hangs in there a bit, and then Texas just gets the lead and just runs the ball and keeps it. So
I didn't give you a score. Let me try a score here. Let's go I'll go 28-21.
Okay.
Another fun fact, Quinn Ewers played at South Lake Carroll, Dallas area high school. And I think the Clemson quarterback's from Austin Westlake. So it's two Texas high school quarterbacks. It's a rematch from playing each other in high school. So,
Okay. Yeah.
so there's another Texas tie-in.
Who won in high school?
The Westlake, the Clemson quarterback, I believe, won that playoff game.
Klubenek?
I think so.
Yeah. Good deal. Well, good predictions. Thank you guys for hanging in there. And that's all we have for today. We'll catch you next time.